Hello, all. Welcome to another episode of Growth Maestros. I am your host, Kshitij Raj. Today, we are going to discuss how a retention strategy can be built with the help of marketing automation. The debate around retention versus acquisition is well settled. Stats like potential cost savings being 5 to 25x, approximately 75% increase in profitability, and many more have pipped retention as a must have strategy, more so in today's environment. To thrive in today's world, brands need to evaluate their retention strategy and the tools they use for it. To discuss these fine points and the role of marketing automation platform that it plays in formalizing these strategies, we have with us Mr. Aditya Mujumdar. Aditya is a digital marketer with a proven track record of a decade, having worked across various leading brands, including Z Entertainment and Food Panda. He has built an expertise in using digital platform to increase performance, recognition, and loyalty that drives business goals. Interestingly, Aditya has also worked with a Rashtriya Ratna awardee, Jagannath Mangalmurthy, on a reality show for a regional television. Welcome to the podcast, Aditya. It's a pleasure to host you.
Thanks, Kshitij. Thanks. It's an honor to be here. Hope you had a good weekend, so that we're starting off the weekend also on a very good note, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And how are you doing today?
Very well, very well. How about you?
Ab- Wonderful. I'm doing. Thank you so much for asking. Before we just kick off this discussion, I've given a short introduction about yourself to the listeners, but it would be great if you could just, give an introduction about your personal and professional background.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I have been in the industry for about a decade now. Started my career with a startup in Pune, where I was probably the first or the second joinee for the organization. It was a small digital marketing agency started by a couple of Googlers who left Google and then started the agency back then. And it was very nascent at that time also, the whole digital marketing space. From then on, yes, like you mentioned, I worked with Food Panda, which was India's biggest online food ordering platform, which got then acquired by Delivery Hero Group, and then Food Panda. I think then it was sold to Ola, I guess. Then worked with Z Entertainment for their in-house incubator kind of a startup called Grob, which was curated for home chefs and all of this. And then now I'm with Domino's in the Middle East, working for Alamar Foods. That has been the journey. Been in hardcore digital marketeer, and now in the new role, it's more of CRM and data analytics as well. In terms of personal life, like I've played table tennis, I've represented it at state level for table tennis. Then I regularly play squash, run marathons, and all those things. So yeah.
That's wonderful to hear and really inspiring as well. We all want to do that. So yes, that's actually very inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing that. And just before we get into the brass tacks of it, I did mention in the introduction that retention versus acquisition is a well settled debate, and retention today has become a must have thing. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you see retention strategy playing, in 2023 and onwards?
I mean, as cliched as it sounds, right? I mean, cost of acquiring new customer is higher than retaining a customer. I mean, I think that is very well settled, like initially said in the beginning. Also, like it's not a debate anymore.
Right.
Any business, I mean, whether it is starting off or whether it is at the 0 to 1 stage or 1 to 10 or 10 to 100 stage, whatever the phase they are in, retention, I think, is a primary factor. You cannot think of just growing the top line at any time. At one instance, you should and you will eventually start ending up focusing on the bottom line, because that is, everyone runs a business to make money. I mean, not everyone is in the charity game, right? Just to distribute money. So eventually retention has to come into play, and as soon as you focus on retention, the better it is for the business in general. And also it has a very good ROI impact, because then your cost of retaining, cost of acquisition, cost of order, everything gets optimized when your retention rate is higher and better. Also,
Yeah.
it helps you to and also it is known that a returning customer tends to spend more
Hmm.
than a new customer, because the familiarity with the brand, familiarity with the services, they know what they like. So it becomes easier also for the brand or the business to retain those customers, right? And
Absolutely.
also, once a customer becomes loyal to a particular service or a brand, then he tends to recommend also. So then
Absolutely.
your word of mouth becomes even more stronger. Your customers become your advocate eventually. So that is when why people, irrespective whether they have used Tata or not, they still go and tell, like, what, Tata is like the company to
Yeah.
work with, or the brand, the philosophy that they have is something which we need to inculcate, or whatever the business goals are, right? I mean, uh, that is how retention works. I mean, it builds a, it's not a, unlike a paid marketing where you spend today and you start getting the result today, but retention is a gradual, painstaking process where you understand the customer needs, start catering to them, fix your services to ensure that each and every customer is treated with the utmost care and priority. So yeah, retention is the key. I mean, we have seen with the likes of so many brands in India across, where initially they get a significant boom in terms of growth, but then the whole retaining the customer becomes a challenge after a
Ab-
certain point.
Yes.
So that is why I said, like, retention should be day one strategy, at least in however big or small it is.
Right, right. And since you talk about retention and you emphasized on things like loyalty and word of mouth, which really takes forward the interaction that a brand has. And with your diverse background, you worked for Z Entertainment, you worked for Food Panda, now currently you are part of Alamar Foods. While these organizations or these organizations may lie in somewhat different verticals, the retention strategy, there has to be certain retention strategy. Have you seen any similarity in terms of retention strategy across all the organizations that you've worked for?
Yeah, to a large extent, yes. I mean, retention again, to go a bit more, traditional way, which is CRM and analytics, and at the same time, retention happens at the digital space also, right? I mean, customers who landed on your website but did not convert, so you target them also. That is, in a way, kind of trying to retain a customer who has already come to your brand, versus a customer who has transacted, but you want him to transact again and again. So the retention can be looked into both ways, is what I think, in terms of, because they have come to your store. uh, I mean, if they don't buy anything and then leave, then you are at a loss. So try and retain anyone who comes to your store, right?
Absolutely.
Plus the customers who have already transacted with you. uh,
Yes.
so in that sense, yes, the strategies always more or less are similar, but the problems that they are addressing might be different.
Ab-
Like, in terms of, when you look at retention, the strategies boils down from, okay, what kind of data we have on the customer, how
Hmm.
can we segment those customers based on whether it is RFM, whether it is behavioral, whether it is occasional purchasers, how do we engage with them? Then of course, communication becomes very key. Understanding, also, understanding what they will spend on, what they will, how they will spend on, is also becomes a key factor. And that is where personalization comes into picture. Tools like MoEngage do help in terms of giving out or communicating the personalized messages to a certain audience based on preferences, behavior, RFM segments. All of these comes into picture, right? So the underlying fundamentals of a retention strategy more or less are similar across verticals. Yes, the nuances will change, uh,
Yes,
as and when, based on what stage of the journey you are in. The more rich the data is, the more refined your strategy becomes.
understood.
The more you know about a customer, then you become more clear in terms of how you target. For example, if you're an e-commerce brand and you have the data so precisely built, where, let's say, if someone who purchases, let's say, a diaper, a pack of diaper, 30 40 packs or whatever, pack of diaper, then you know that the person has a newborn baby. So you can actually target them with, let's say, a crib or a bib, and then obviously, because they had purchased diaper from you, probably you would know, like, okay, a 34 pack diaper or a 60 pack diaper would last for, let's say, 30 days or a 45 days. Then you know that if this person has bought this, and then like start talking to him about the same diaper before actually he's getting out of stock, right? So these kind of retention strategies comes in when, based on what stage of of the business you are in. So like I said, the nuances would change, the KPIs would remain the same largely, but how you address slightly changes.
The underlying idea remains the same, although.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something very interesting here. You said that the richer the data is, more refined your retention strategy is, and also the fact that you just gave an example of an event retention in a very technical term, if I may want to put it that way. Uh, and Since we're talking about retention and associating it with marketing automation platform, automation or digital transformation has become very big. It has been there for a very long time, but post COVID, I would say digital took another level, and it became COVID, I would say, became a catalyst to all of that. So how do you see digital transformation or these tools, like you mentioned, martech stacks coming into the picture to help you or any digital marketer in deriving their retention strategy?
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate what you said, right? I mean, COVID has been the catalyst. Whether I mean, it was a blessing in disguise to a large extent to a lot of business. Whether we like what we went through in 2020 or not, but it was an eventful year, and a lot of businesses pivoted themselves into more digital friendly. Like,
Right.
I mean, in India, if today, if when I go to India, even a auto guy like refrains from taking cash to a certain extent if it has a lot of change in it. It's like, yaar, phone pay ya bhim UPI kar do. I mean, it is more easier. I
Yes.
mean, that
True.
has catapulted digital into a different league altogether. I mean, the convenience has become so easy for everyone to just handle cash in itself. I
Hmm.
mean, just to touch upon that, how digital is playing a crucial role. I mean, nobody thought that you could consult a doctor online before COVID. I mean,
Yes.
there were startups in India like Practo and couple of others who were trying to get people online. But I think COVID just what you call put them in a different league altogether, because now everyone like, oh, we need to have a digital focused strategy on consulting for doctors, and all of those things came
Yes.
into picture. So to enable all of these things, and to eventually drive everyone under the retention policies or the strategies that you would eventually build on from acquiring customers, and once you acquire, how do you try and retain them over a period of time, then your martech tools come in very very handy, right?
Yeah.
From, if you're an app focused company, then the likes of apps flyer, adjust comes into picture to understand what is the source of installations, how a customer is behaving after install, what is their install to order rate, install to open rate. Those all things come into picture. Once those come into picture, then you have players like Telium, Segment, who are more like hardcore CDPs, to help you segment, build customers, build that database of customers from different touch points of your business, from your POS system, from your e-commerce system, from any other sources of revenue business that you have, and put them under one roof for you to understand them better. Then of course the bigger challenge is how do you communicate to them.
Hmm.
And that is where tools like MoEngage and a few of your competitors come into picture, in terms of how do you enable that system into a more efficient way for you to communicate to those users, right? I mean, that is where a tool like a MoEngage, which is, I would say, more like CDXP kind of a platform, which is not a, it is more of a hybrid solution, not like hardcore CDP or a hardcore communication platform.
Yes.
Those definitely help. And also, how do you go about segmentation, right? Now you have the data, how do you go about the segment? These tools, to an extent, help you understand, build those segments. And then obviously channels do matter. I mean, today, if you don't have the disposal of channels at your end in terms of where to reach the customer at what stage, then you are losing out on the customer.
Absolutely.
Whether it is push, web push, WhatsApp, uh, digital channels like Google Ads, Facebook Ads, blogs, videos, or content on YouTube. The way people consume these days is beyond anyone's thought probably 10 years back, right?
Right.
Earlier you would always see, okay, news आ रहा है तो news से consume करेंगे, newspaper पढ़ लेंगे ये. Today you have boutique channels on YouTube which focuses like, there is this one channel on YouTube which is called Star Talk,
Hmm. Okay.
which is by a astrophysicist called Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? I
Okay.
mean, back then, 10 years back, I mean, me as a normal, regular working class guy, if I want to understand astrophysics or physics in general, I was like, यार मेरा काम मेरे को जो है वो है, कहाँ से पढ़ते बैठूंगा, अभी पता नहीं कहाँ से मिलेगा. But now with channels like YouTube where he talks about all these things, suddenly your interest in such things also peaks. So you consume content where probably you would not have thought also.
Sort of. Yes.
So that is where the channels at your disposal becomes very crucial. You
Absolutely.
cannot stick to just say, okay, I will only do emailers, I will only do SMS, and I will have a retention strategy around those two channels. No,
Hmm.
that will help you to start off definitely, but it will not help you to scale your retention channel,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because it will become limited at the end of the day
Yes.
eventually. You
Yes.
need to have your push, web push, social media push outs from the segments targeting those segment audience. So that is where these tools help, right? In terms of outreach, in terms of understanding the data itself, and clustering them based on how you want, hierarchy. If you want to do a hierarchical structuring of the data or numeric structuring of the data, those things do come into picture, with these tools in place.
Got it. Got it. And I think you also mentioned that there are various tools which have some specialization. You talked about, the kind of apps flyer, you talked about Telium, you talked about MoEngage, uh, and also about channels and the data and how the structuring or hierarchy of data matters. We as a matter of fact, here we had also come out with an ebook called Data is Good, Insights Are Better. So just to dwell on that fact, and also the fact that brands like yours and many others are banking on these data and insights, be it for an off season, be it for a holiday marketing, be it for Ramadan, which will come again. Uh, so what role does specifically insights play into that, and what are some of the insights that you particularly look at while reaching out to customers across channel, retaining them, understanding what is the best time to send, what is the best channel to deliver? So what are some of the insights that you look at?
Like one, I mean, Ramadan is a very good topical discussion that you made it out, because Ramadan is right around the corner, probably
Yes.
3 4 weeks down the line. We'll have Ramadan in the Middle East. It is uh, unlike in India. Here, Ramadan is completely different. It is beautiful actually. It's not like you are fasting and all. But initially the first week, yeah, everyone gets a bit nervy, you're not eating throughout the day. But eventually then, people start in the evening, the iftars, the suhoors are brilliant. I mean, you have to be here to experience those things. uh, it's The festivity is brilliant when it's Ramadan, in especially during the iftar and the suhoor times. uh, so yeah, I mean, like, in Ramadan, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, nobody eats. You don't want to offend unless uh, you have the data where you can identify what religion the person is and all of that. Then you're making, like, when do you communicate becomes, you can take a call on that. But if you don't have, then it's a no brainer, like, not to offend anyone, not to,
Yeah.
uh, demean anyone else. You can easily, like, decide on the evening times when you can send out. But other than this, I think it becomes very, when does the customer open an email, when does he clicks, what is, if you have those data, which, a lot of these tools give you in terms of deliverability optimization or send optimization, what you call, helps a lot in terms of you don't have to do a lot of A/B testing to
Mm.
decide, okay, I'll send out at 1 at 5, then 1 at 5:30, then 1 at 6, and see which time gives me a better open rate and a better click rate for an email or a push, or your social media channels. These tools help you provide. Initially, yes, you will have to do those A/B testing, but over a period of time, the system has those capabilities to understand, and I can just rely on them to a certain extent, saying, okay, deliver them at the best time for the user, right? So
Yes.
it will take care of those things. So those things do matter. But eventually, I think what matters is channel efficacy,
Mm.
in terms of, like, which channel is actually driving cost for you and which channel is actually driving revenue for you. When I say cost for you, is like you have a higher cost of order,
Yeah.
and revenue. When I say revenue, you are actually, your cost of acquisition is much lower in that particular channel, right? So efficacy is something which you will, have to understand which channel is more. Then obviously the efficiency of the channel, which channel is most economical for the business.
Yes.
uh, right, those. And then obviously customer behavior comes into picture between the segments and their likeliness to, interact with a specific product or not. So then those things come into picture, and obviously the churn rate and then the lifetime value of a customer comes into picture. So these things are, you tend to keep a, track of these things, maintain. And this is all key touch points also, or KPIs that you would want to a certain extent, keep in mind always.
Understood. Understood. And I think since we've talked about this right now, and I'll just take the liberty, Aditya, to get sidetracked a little and talk maybe a bit more about Ramadan, since it is a very relevant topical theme right now, right? And like you mentioned, it is a very beautiful period of time, at least in the region. And unlike, I won't say unlike India, but something that you don't experience in India per se or any other region. But Middle East, because predominantly the majority is there. But when it comes to Ramadan as a shopping festival, while it may get categorized under the same bucket of a holiday season or something similar to that, it is completely different from a, I would say, Dubai shopping festival, which is more around offers, discount.
Yeah,
Ramadan is more about empathy, caring, sharing, and all of that. Exactly
exactly.
right. So in your experience, how different are the campaign formations when it comes to Ramadan versus, say, a Dubai shopping festival, or any other, or say a FIFA World Cup, which just happened, right? So how different is it from these in terms of campaign formation?
I mean, as you rightly said, right? I mean, Ramadan is a holy month. You talk about empathy, you talk about care, you talk about helping people in general, and you tend to see campaigns which talk about these things per se during this time. They don't talk about uh, on the price point,
Yeah.
or the discount per se. Yes, it is an underlying factor, but the large communication is around empathy. I mean, they talk about, okay, if you buy from us, we will donate X amount on behalf of you. Our target is to reach X amount or X people. Help us in achieving that. Last year, I think last year or sometime back, we tied up with Dubai Ambulance and couple of other charity foundations here, where we gave out pizzas for underprivileged people
Okay.
here in Dubai. We have a lot of, I mean, in the region, you have a lot of people coming in from across social strata, right? And few people are not as lucky as we are, to a certain extent. So tend to give back to the community in whatever small way we can, right? I mean, as you can never pay back the society in full. So this
Yes.
particular month, this whole 4.5 weeks of Ramadan is purely focused on empathy, uh, holiness, because it's a holy month, right? And they tend to be very, what you call, um, I don't know, forgiving is not the right word, but uh, more accommodative, more, softer towards people. Like, it's okay. I mean, they're kind of, okay, okay, it's fine. We'll deal with things. It's kind of those emotions that people largely talk about, or largely, feel during this time, and that is what resonates in the marketing communication also.
Absolutely.
Nobody talk, not a lot of brands talk about, oh, this is an offer, this is this, but they talk about, we are trying to do this, can you help us? We are giving out, if you order from us, a 1% of your order is contributed towards, let's say now, because uh, the earthquake that has happened in Turkey, the world is talking about it, the aids are going. Uh, Maybe some brands would pick up that and say, we are contributing towards them. During this month, whatever we generate, a portion of that goes to them. Those kind of planning, or the communication, that would what you would see in general during this time.
Wonderful. And I think like you mentioned, the openness, it's the emotional quotient of the brand, and that has to match with the emotional quotient of the general population which is there, and that is what probably clicks. But thank you so much for those insights. I think, yeah, we, like I mentioned, I took the liberty to sidetrack a little, but coming back to the topic of retention, my last question to you would be something which is more that I would want people to understand from your lens as to the challenges. Since you've been in this space, what are some of the challenges that you've faced when it comes to retention, forming a retention strategy, and how have you been able to overcome those challenges?
One, I think, is for any organization or any brand, I think one of the key challenges when they start focusing very heavily on retention is on the data collection itself.
Right.
Uh, I mean, a lot of brands will have a lot of data, but never at one place.
Hmm.
They have the data in silos, and getting all the data to speak one language under one roof, it becomes a big task itself, because someone has a sales data, someone has website data, someone has customer feedback, someone has online sales. How do you map them? How do you map to one single customer? Like, Kshitij can do a transaction walking into a Shopper Stop store, buy
Yeah.
from a Shopper Stop online store, and also probably if they have enabled Instagram shopping, then you would also end up buying from Instagram shopping as well, right? How would you map them to identify, okay, these three transactions were done by one single customer?
Right.
Right? That is itself in itself is a big challenge.
Yes.
You need to have one single source of truth for each and every single channel from where the revenue is generated for you.
Right.
Uh, you cannot say, "Oh, I will have this." So if your offline data is coming from there, then this is my single source of truth for offline. This is my single truth. Uh, in in a way that is fine, but those two have to be merged at one place to
Absolutely.
identify the customer side. Because when you talk about retention, when you talk about those numbers, you're talking from a customer point of view and not from a sales point of view. Having those two separate channels as single source of truth makes sense for your sales reporting. Okay, I know
Yes.
offline sales is this, I know online sales is this. But when you talk about from a customer point of view, then you need to have single source of truth for every single customer that is transacted with you.
Yes.
A same customer, like I said, a same customer can transact with all of your channels, but will you consider those as seven different customers? No, right? I mean, he's one customer at the end of the day. So you would need to have that one single source of truth for all your data. That
Yes.
is one key. Second is reachability to the customer. Like, to what extent you have the information around the customer, whether it is the physical address, whether it is your email address, whether it is your phone, whether he has enabled push notifications for you. All of those things matter, right? Whether you can, at what level, because in a retention strategy, you would not limit yourself to reach out to a customer via one single channel. You will always have a strategy around, okay, if he does not respond here, I will try and reach out to him via email. If he does not respond via email, then I will go and ping him on SMS. If he doesn't react, then okay, I will create a custom audience from my CRM tool and then push it to social media and try and react, gain his attention from there, right?
Right.
So you gradually, in reachability also, you gradually progress from the cheapest most channel, which is your push notification or a web notification, and then go to slightly more expensive channels, right? Like from push to email to SMS to WhatsApp. WhatsApp probably would be the last because it is very intrusive also, I personally feel that. So then you would say SMS, and then you would go to what you say, social media channels,
Right.
and then probably go to WhatsApp. That is where it is purely one to one, very intrusive. If the customer doesn't like it, then you will probably lose him forever, right? Even today, a lot of people are okay with WhatsApp being the primary communication channel, but like a person like me, I would not really appreciate a brand sending me promotional message on WhatsApp unless I want to know,
Yes.
right? So that is how your reachability matters. What kind of information do you have for a customer? And that is where I also kind of touched over on the communication channels also that you need to have uh,
Absolutely.
when it comes to the challenges. And most of the times you tend to uh, as a business, you tend to forget that you have other channels apart from SMS and email, to a certain extent. You have push, you have web, you have WhatsApp, you have social media. Sometimes business tend to overlook or probably just miss out in the larger scheme of things, because getting data and having the reachability becomes itself a bigger challenge, right?
Mhm.
So that is where the communication, and also it also depends on how the business prioritizes retention.
Hmm.
In the beginning, when I said, irrespective where the business is, whether it is 0 to 1, 1 to 10, or 10 to 100, in any of these phases, the business has to prioritize retention from the day one. I mean, that is my strong belief. And to get that business buy-in becomes very critical in addressing the retention problem or the retention rate or the churn rate in itself, whether the
Yes.
business is prioritizing that or not. If the business is not prioritizing, then no matter what numbers you show, if they are not able to see it, or they don't see the importance of it, then it's going to be tough.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, unlike a paid channel where SMS or unlike Google Ads, I run a Google ad today, I get a customer, I can see the results within few hours, right? I mean, I've spent 500, I know three customer transacted, these three customers, average ticket price was, let's say, 1500. So I know, okay, I got 4500 by spending 500. So this is working. Why would I focus on retention where I have to understand what the user is liking, then communicate, and then see whether he will buy or not?
Hmm.
If they go into that tangent, then it becomes difficult for you to
Absolutely.
make them realize that, okay, for now focusing on acquiring is good, but
Yes.
eventually you will have to come to this point where, okay, who what happened to the customers who bought from us, right?
Absolutely.
Then once that is done, I think personalization plays a key role in this.
Yes.
You cannot blanketly communicate anything and everything to everyone.
Especially in
Everyone,
world. Especially in today's world.
especially in today's world. I mean, people love personalization. I mean, uh, more than personalization, I would like to use the word individualization,
Hmm.
uh, because they want to be treated special. If a customer is spending, say, 5,000, 10,000 every month with you, if you are a recurring business, or even if you are an e-commerce business, but he's coming and spending, let's say, 15 to 20,000 a year with you, then he by default, you know uh, expects you to treat him differently, like how the airlines does, right? I mean, jet airways, jet miles was one of those loyalty programs, which in India, at least, I mean, Emirates, you have Skywards,
Yeah.
which everyone talks about. Then in India, jet miles was a popular one where people would talk, oh, I have so many jet miles.
Yes.
That would become a kind of a bragging point also, right, for a customer. So if you don't treat them, I mean, if you don't understand that individualization, okay, Kshitij likes to have pepperoni pizza or a cheese burst pizza every Friday night, then and he orders at least once a month, on probably on a third Friday of the month, then I know, like, okay, if he has not ordered for 1 month, then next month I would say, hey Kshitij, have your cheese burst pizza and get but you have not ordered so long, the chocolava is on us, you know
Yes.
something
Absolutely.
something on those lines becomes, then you are very intrigued by this. Oh, they know what I like, so that personalization, uh, is individualization goes noticed, it doesn't go unnoticed. So that is one key challenges which you need to address, and you cannot achieve in one go. Obviously you have to start with a bit of mass communication, and then slowly segment, bifurcate, and taper them based on a lot of other touch points that you gather over a period of time. uh, then
Absolutely.
obviously then obviously you need the tools. You cannot in no one who's sane enough would say, okay, let's do this manually ever. You need automation tools like MoEngage. You need tools like Segment, Telium, AppsFlyer to help you to achieve those results. Without these tools, you would not be able to scale things. That's the whole point. Scaling of the things. Yes, you can do things manually, but you can do only to a certain extent. After a
Yes.
point you would say, like, uh, how would you execute 50 campaigns in at the same time if you're doing
Exactly.
manually, right? That is where tools like MoEngage comes into picture, where I can segment the audience however I want, and within this audience segmentation I can have many more attributes of a customer. Based on those attributes, I can trigger 10 different campaigns at the same time based on, let's say, users open rate,
Yep.
preferred time of open or preferred time to click. Based on those things, I can automate a campaign and publish, and just see how the results come in. I don't have to like, oh, I have to do, okay, I have to, for this particular segment, I need to send SMS manually, then email.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a scalable solution, right? I mean, when you're looking at this, you need automation tools who can enable you, and also from the reporting, from the data standpoint itself. I mean, reporting becomes a big part of retention strategy, because everything that you do is based on that report, based
Yeah.
on the reports that you get from your campaigns, right? And the reports are very complex. It's not just on campaign basis. It goes beyond campaign level metrics. uh,
Yes.
it is like, okay, which segment performed what, how did the swap shifts happen between customers from one segment to another, what is the uplift against control, what is the significance of the uplift, is there any actual uplift in terms of revenue by doing this. All these things become so critical, and if you're doing them manually, then you cannot do any of those
It's not
things.
possible. Yes, absolutely. And I think, like you mentioned, data becomes the underlying source of truth here. Be it personalization, be it putting it in tools. If you have data in one place, which gives you the so-called single customer view, I think you can achieve much more than just keeping it in silos and seeing how your offline business is doing versus how your online business is doing. To be honest, but I would just like to thank you for these insights, Aditya, and I'm sure your valuable insights are key to our listeners, and I'm sure they'll learn a lot out of this. And once again, thank you so much for being part of this podcast. Thank you so much for giving us your time again, sharing these insights on retention, which is kind of a burning topic and a must-have thing, like I mentioned in today's economy. Yeah, but thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine. And yeah, like, I'm only trying to uh, tell what I know, and of course, even I am learning in this world. I mean, post COVID, everything has changed. Whatever we thought we knew is not being validated. So things have been changing drastically and rapidly. So, like you said, even I am learning. Everyone is probably, I think, back in the learning phase.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I hope I've made sense in terms of what I spoke. But
No,
yeah,
absolutely. I think like you mentioned, everyone is learning, and I'm sure our listeners today will definitely learn a lot from the insights that you've shared.
pleasure, man, pleasure to be on the podcast. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Kshitij.
Thank you so much, Aditya, once again. That's it from us, folks. Catch you on the next episode. Till then, it's goodbye and stay safe.
Thank you.